In this video, we're going to walk through getting your Farm Focus set up and ready for the end of financial year. Nothing too complicated, just making sure everything's tidy and up to date, so your accountant can easily pull what they need and get on with the job without chasing you later for missing information. Before we get into it, we need to make sure that your accountant actually has access to your Farm Focus. Ideally, they'll have their own workspace with your database included. If that's not set up, at the very least, give them user access with organisation admin permissions, so they've got the right level of access to do their job properly. When you're working through the end of financial year, just run through these 6 questions. Is my needs action clean? Are all my transactions in the right financial year? Does my bank balance match what it should? Is my coding correct? Have I attached all my supporting documents? Are my livestock numbers accurate? So now let's take a look at these questions and how to make sure everything is up to date and correct. Number 1, is my needs action screen clean? This one's pretty simple. You're just checking that there's nothing sitting there that shouldn't be. That means no old invoices hanging around from last year, no unmatched or uncoded bank transactions from that same period. If anything is sitting and needs action, it's worth sorting it out now so it doesn't carry over and cause headaches later. So how do you fix it? Usually, if you find old invoices sitting there, it's because the bank transaction has been coded instead of matched. To check this, head to the completed screen and search for the matching bank transactions. If you find it there and it's already been included in a GST return, it's usually best to leave it and simply delete the invoice. But it's still a good idea to save the attachment for the invoice and attach it to the bank transaction, so everything stays together. If it hasn't been locked into a GST return yet, you can tidy it up properly. Just open the transaction, click the 3 dots and select Delete Line and Save. That'll save the invoice back to needs action where you can match it correctly to the invoice. You might also come across partially paid invoices. These can be cleared up as well. Just check out the Partial Paid Invoices article in the Help Centre for steps to work through these. Number 2, are things sitting in the right financial year? What you're really asking here is, are my income and expenses allocated to the correct year? A good rule of thumb is this: if the work or event happened in that financial year, then that's where it should sit, even if the payment happened later. For example, if work was completed in June, but the payment date didn't come through until July, and your financial year ended on the 30th of June, that expense or income should still be recorded in the previous year. In Farm Focus, it's usually the invoice date, or for livestock, the event date on the stock transaction, that determines which financial year the transaction belongs to. So it's worth checking through and making sure those dates are correct, especially around the end of year period where things can easily slip into the wrong year. If you're using invoices, this should mostly take care of itself automatically. But for straight bank transactions, you may need to manually add an invoice date to make sure they land in the correct financial year. You can do that from the completed screen in Bank Transaction View. Just click the 3 dots on the transaction and select Add Invoice Date. Then enter the correct date for when the work was actually done or the expense was occurred. Number 3, does my bank balance match? This one's really important. Your Farm Focus database should be a direct reflection of what happened in your bank account. So the balance in Farm Focus should match your actual bank statement. That's why your final bank statement for the year matters. It's the key check to make sure everything has been captured correctly. If the balances don't match, it usually means something's missing, duplicated, or added incorrectly. So it's worth sorting out before handing things over to your accountant. To check this, head to the Balancing tab. This shows your Farm Focus balance alongside your bank balance, so you can quickly see if they line up. If you use a bank feed or import bank transactions into Farm Focus, the bank balance for each working day is brought in automatically. That makes it much easier to spot when something has gone out of line. In this view, you can also see the source of each transaction, which can help track down where any differences have come from. Should transactions be missing, they may have been deleted, and they can be found in the Deleted tab and restored if required. Number 4, is my coding right? This is where you do a quick scan through your coding and look for anything that doesn't quite look right. You're basically checking for things like transactions sitting in the wrong category, inconsistent coding for similar items, or anything that's clearly been coded incorrectly. You can do this in two main places, the completed screen and the analysis by code report. The good news is, coding isn't locked in permanently. You can change it at any time, even after the fact, as long as it doesn't affect the GST type. So this step is really just about cleaning things up and making sure everything is sitting where it should before the end of year. In the completed screen, make sure you're in the coded line view. From here, you can either update individual transactions one by one, or use the bulk recode to fix multiple items at once. You can also allocate transactions to a tag if you need to, assuming you've got those set up, which can be really helpful for reporting and tracking specific areas of the farm. All the coded lines can also be reviewed in the analysis by code report. From here, expand out the categories to drill into the detail. Then use the eye icon to view or edit individual transactions. This makes it easy to quickly check what's sitting underneath each code and fix anything that doesn't quite look right before you finalise your year end. If any changes are required to the GST type, refer to the Help Centre for guidance or contact the support team for assistance. Number 5, have I attached my documents? Now think about your supporting documents. Ideally, you've been using the invoice scanner throughout the year, so most transactions already have the original document attached. But it doesn't stop there. Ideally, you'll be using the Vault and document storage area in Farm Focus to store other important records, such as bank statements and hire purchase agreements as well. That way, everything is kept digitally in one place for both you and your accountant, and can be found quickly when you need it, without digging through piles of paper or trying to track things down later. At year end, the goal is simple. Make sure everything is attached, stored properly, and easy to access if your accountant needs to review it. The good news is there's still time to get this sorted. It's as simple as adding an attachment. Just click the paperclip icon on a transaction and upload the file from your computer, or drag and drop it straight in. You can also use the document storage area within the Vault to keep other important records organised and accessible for anything you or your accountant might need later on. While Farm Focus isn't an app, don't forget you can still access it on your phone. That means you can easily use your phone's camera to take a photo of a document and upload it straight into Farm Focus, which makes it handy for storing things as you go rather than trying to track them down later. Number 6, are my livestock numbers correct? And finally, the last question, and this is the big one. Are my livestock numbers correct? Getting this right will save both you and your accountant a lot of time. Head into the livestock grid and start by checking your opening numbers. Make sure they look right from the start of the year. Remember, you never begin the financial year with a lamb or a calf. Your sales and purchases should already be there, as these are automatically fed through from your actual transactions. But it's still important to double check that the quantities are correct and that everything has been coded to the right stock class. This step becomes much easier if you've been keeping up with your supporting documents, things like livestock invoices or kill sheets, and attaching them to the relevant transactions. Remember, these can be captured using the invoice scanner. That way you can quickly confirm everything matches up and nothing has been missed or miscoded. Next, check that births and deaths have been recorded. Don't worry if they haven't been entered at the time, you can always add them retrospectively. And finally, make sure your closing numbers make sense and line up with what you actually have on farm. Remember, your opening numbers should match your closing numbers from last year's accounts. If they don't, you can override them by going into the Settings cog, then the Livestock tab, where you can make the necessary adjustments. Just keep in mind that all stock on your farm effectively have a birthday on the last day of your financial year and ages up as the year closes. The good news is Farm Focus handles that automatically for you, so you don't need to worry about the mechanics. Just make sure the numbers themselves are right. Once you've worked through all of these questions and you're happy, everything is in order, just flick your accountant a quick email to let them know your database is ready. From there, they can jump in, take over and do their thing with your end of year accounts.